Now, I went hard for short-term rentals and medium-term rentals back in 2017. And COVID hit, I felt the market changing. I saw, occupancy slipping. The great thing is though, they weren't leased. I wasn't just managing someone else's asset. I actually owned the asset. And I had bought the properties appropriately in that I always run my numbers based on long-term rent comps. If you've been in the short-term rental world as long as I have, you've heard of two companies. One, Sonder, the other, Lyric. Lyric was a very big company, started on Wall Street, went out of business during COVID. I thought I was going to as well. Sonder made it actually until this year, which is 2025. And their business model was quite interesting in that they were leasing these giant apartment buildings and trying to make this apart hotel product. They sort of saved themselves by moving over to a partnership with Marriott in order to, expand this apart hotel. But then when their relationship fell apart this year, Sonder has just recently filed for bankruptcy. Now, one thing that's important to note for those of us that are normal, that do not lease giant apartment complexes and get multi-million-dollar deals with Marriott, Sonder didn't own any assets. They only owned the leases, which meant that they had really expensive liabilities and they were trying to make the cash to cover them. But at the end of the day, they really didn't own anything. And it was a lot easier just to turn in the keys and walk away than it was to really, do much with it. Now, I went hard for short-term rentals and medium-term rentals back in 2017. It was a great move. No one else was in the space. I did well, and COVID hit. And here in Georgia, we stayed open. So we had a lot of people coming here and working from Savannah. So I actually did very well. But after COVID, after the boom of 2023, I felt the market changing. I saw, occupancy slipping. And in my own portfolio, I've already removed furniture from 11 of my homes. The great thing is though, they weren't leased. I wasn't just managing someone else's asset. I actually owned the asset. And I had bought the properties appropriately in that I always run my numbers based on long-term rent comps. So because these 11 homes were not doing very well furnished, they were out of style, they needed updating, they needed new furniture, I just didn't feel like putting it into it. The homes, at the end of the day, I saw things kind of getting a little oversaturated, but I had bought them correctly so that they still worked as a long-term rental. So I was able to remove furniture, put tenants inside, and still do well. I want to encourage you to be very careful when you're buying. Run your numbers conservatively. Always buy for cash flow. Keep in mind that things are going to change. Things that are hot and are making tons of money today, they may or may not be tomorrow. And you need to have a little bit of room in there to pivot. So when you're buying assets, be financially savvy, don't get over leveraged, do your homework, pick the right market, have the right team in place, and be prepared to pivot when times get tough. You don't want to be the guy handing back the keys. The most important thing is to own assets, be able to keep up with the payments, don't get over your skis, and you'll do very well in this industry. I tell people all the time, buy one cash flowing rental property every single year, and you're going to do very well. Just take it slow, be conservative, and do your best. I'm an agent, I'm a property manager, I'm an investor myself. I'm in this market with you. I very well understand what's going on. If you're looking for a pro to work with, reach out. I'd love to work with you. I'm right here in Savannah, Georgia. I can help you here. I can also find you an agent or a property manager in another location. But definitely keep in mind that you want to own the asset and you want to leave a little bit of room there where you can pivot later if things change, because nothing is going to stay great forever and nothing is going to stay bad forever. And you've got to be ready for both. I wish you all the best.